What's your temperature right now, Allison?
It's around zero. Like when you come, it might dip below a little bit, like -2 to -3 overnight, though. And it could be during the day as well, but it's not crazy, crazy cold.
Okay. That helps me figure out what I have to wear. I
Yeah,
think what I got in my suitcase is going to be good enough because right now I got flannels and a hoodie.
yeah. And I'm sure Annette would have an extra jacket if you need it. Canadians always have extra jackets for guests.
So today's title is Creating Expansive Tension.
Mm, I like that. It feels like it has weight to it. And for me, that when I say weight, I mean it's anchored, not fixed, but stable.
Isn't that when we align our thoughts and feelings with the infinite possibilities?
Could be,
Mm.
for sure. That's a really nice definition, Chi.
Yeah, I just read a book by Neville Goddard this morning.
Oh,
The feeling is the secret. It's how we can manifest what we want, by aligning our thoughts and feelings with our true self, our higher self.
mm-hmm.
When we align the feeling, the thoughts come.
Yes. Yes.
It's much quicker to do it that way around.
And that's the importance of the awareness of the feeling.
Mm.
Even if there might not be one in there in the moment. You can always find points that are fixed.
Oh. And so when you go for the fixed points, then you ask for the opposite.
That's right. What's the opposite of this? Fixed point. It opens a whole circle.
Very good.
Everything that could include in it. And then just align it to what it is, what it could be. There may not be words for it yet, and there might be. The feeling is the guider.
Mm.
Mm.
The feeling is the cause, and the thought is the effect, right?
Ooh, I like that.
Sorry about that.
You're great.
And like the thoughts come from the beliefs, and the beliefs come from the identity. So by tuning into all it is, has, and never will be, identifying with that, then that literally affects your beliefs and affects your thoughts.
Yes.
It's like, say we're having thoughts, they're not the kind of thoughts we want. We can't change those thoughts with thoughts. Well, we can kind of, but above that is the beliefs. The thoughts come from the beliefs. And then how do you change your beliefs? You switch your identity.
Mm.
So then it's like, who are we really?
Yeah. What are, give me some examples of identities.
Well, the two polar opposites is one being the droplet and identifying with the body and the name and all that. Or then there's and then on the opposite side, there's the droplet going into the ocean. There's no point in which it starts or ends. It is one. It is everything. It is eternal. So it's like, but yeah, and there's all the identities in between that. But they're the polar opposites clear in my mind. Identifying as the individual and then identifying as
How do we change our identity?
You asked Heinz, how do we change our identity?
Yeah, I put the question out there. Since he said all the other
I,
things we had to do.
it's all about feelings, and it's to know how things work. It's masculine, feminine. It's yeah, right, left, yin, yang. The subconscious is the feminine, and the conscious is the masculine. It's an so we work through the subconscious to change our conscious. I believe it's the feelings that creates our subconscious.
I think it's the interpretation of our feelings that creates our
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. That's much better. Thank you.
You're welcome to. I'm glad it made sense. I mean, for me, that's where the gap is. Rather than in my languaging, because we've all got different languaging, even though we speak English, right? But for me, in my languaging, belief isn't as what word would I use? Okay, let me say this. So I have hesitation around the stability of belief, and I have a bit of a negative charge around identity, and that's just me. It's not. I'm not arguing about it. It's just my experience of it, and I think I'll speak to why. So, in my childhood, I grew up with many beliefs being held forth as truths, and they were extremely damaging. Really, really damaging. So that's where my negative charge around using belief as an anchor comes in. That I don't quite know what else other than essentially going into the experience of being love and compassion. Like for me, that is so stable. When I can orientate myself to that is my stability. So those are the words that work for me. And identity is also for me, it's a caution, like be careful. But then I identify compassion and love as an anchor. So it can get quite complex. And I'm not very good at making things all that simple like Jesse is.
I think we can change our. It is possible to change our identity, by mastering our thoughts and feelings. I
Yes,
know how it works. Yeah.
but that's more your state of being, Chi, than
Mm.
your identity. For me,
Oh. Mm.
that's how it works for me. Is I rather go for the state of being.
The being is about the feelings, huh? And
I think, yeah, I think it. I think so. I think that's the only way in which we can do it.
mm.
Otherwise, we get caught up in an identity. So when people talk about, well, just change your story, like, well, okay, go ahead. But I mean, you see how long that lasts. Right? For some people, it lasts a lifetime until it doesn't. So they build their lives on that. We can create many things no matter what we feel. But whether they're sustainable or not, for me, that's the crux of it.
Like all of them are, it's just one point. Being, like, achieve what I hold the yes. Being is our energy, and our energy is our feelings, and our thoughts.
Mm.
And doing's the other aspect. So, like, that's the boundary between doing and being for me. The issue is whether it's the belief, the identity, the role, the time, the charge, the trigger. It's like, whatever it is, what matters is that we focus in on one point. Our attention goes to one perspective. And that's like sitting on a one-legged stool.
That is a great conversation. I just got home, so I had to do some cooking, so I will be listening.
Yeah, thanks, Chi. And
on that point of what you said, Alison, of like saying it and then like see how long that lasts. That reminds me of like a story of true life story of these two guys, and they were chilling in a hot tub on a yacht, yeah, and this guy was absolutely smashing it. And my mate asked him, he said, like, when did it all turn around? Like, when did you how did you get to this level? And he was like, well, I used to tell myself, like, I'm unlucky and nothing works out for me in business or life. And then I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to tell myself a different story. So everyone he met, every time he spoke about his business or his life, he was like, yeah, everything's amazing. I'm so lucky. It's just everything's just fallen into place. And it's like he wasn't lying. He was just speaking the truth in advance. And because obviously, if you're lying to the subconscious, it's like, yeah, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Boom, like. But the point is, yeah, he was speaking it, and he's like, so everyone he spoke to, And every time he's thought about it, I'm just so lucky, lucky, lucky. And then he was like, well, how long did it take for like that to kick in? Do you know? And he said, after about 6 months, do you know, of saying that, do you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, obviously, we've done it for years. We've fought and believed and done and like the way we have for years, you know? So to think we can just, all right, today, yeah, I'm just going to start thinking like this and start feeling like this. It's like, obviously, it's the 21 days and he's adding it up. But like, obviously, it was 6 months for him, do you know? So it's like, it's
Mm-hmm.
staying in that. But then also, like, doubting that we can have it is kind of like, that's why it's like removing the doubt, increasing the belief, you know, and that
Yes,
that speeds it up too. But like any doubts as well
absolutely.
that we may have. But yeah, that just reminds me of that. But yeah, as well, it cut off as well. Do you know when Harmony rang me up? So like, yeah,
But
but
I,
yeah,
I, I think I was talking in a little bit of a different context. For me, in terms of if you work with people and you tell them, you say, just change your story. But this happened for him. He decided that that is what he could do. And for him to decide that that is what he could do, he obviously had enough of the emotional coordinates that he needed.
mm,
He could feel into that, like you said. He could feel into his story, could feel the appreciation of what he was holding as what was coming to him.
yeah. That story's so big though that we say and we tell each other and we're literally speaking it, thinking it into existence. Another thing that's coming to me is this lady and she went to the prisons and like basically she like worked um with the inmates and but the first thing she did was like get them to tell a different story. So rather than being a number, you know what I mean, she said she went in like with kind of a business thing and he was like, right, okay, we're gonna learn about like business and about like, you know, running your own business or whatever, you know, and giving them like a different story and a different role. But like the big thing was as well when they left, like the percentage of the people coming back was way reduced, do you know?
Yes.
Because literally they started telling themselves a different story, you know? It's flipping big, man. Because the powers that be, they know how we create reality, and we don't even realize we created it half of the time, do you know? So it's like they could easily just drop beliefs and identities, you know, in the media, in the society, whatever. And so like we're creating either our own prison or paradise based upon our perspective, our vibe, our flipping all. It's crazy, man, isn't it?
Mm. Mm. So, Joe, can I ask you, and if you can't answer immediately, it's fine, but what were you left with yesterday when Jesse said to you, why did you only think of getting enough money for the course? Or it was a bit different, sorry. It was, why didn't you open up and focus on being able to do the course, no matter whether you had the money or not? Do you remember that?
Um, yeah, sort of.
Okay, so for me, that that triggered something for me personally. And I realized how often I will logically think about what it is that I need in order to be able to get something else that I need.
Mm.
And that's still a closed structure. So that's why I'm asking you, because it reminded me again. And it was interesting for me because I kind of I imagine that I always have gone for open structures because the philosophy in yoga is 100% an open structure. So I always, here it goes, I always identified myself as having an open structure. I just didn't have the terminology for it.
Yeah.
But there's so many layers at which I don't have it yet. So that's why I'm bringing it back. Yesterday's session stayed with me all day yesterday. I spoke about it at the beginning of the group. And that informed my words for this morning. And my words were recalling. Because when I went to sleep last night, I thought, okay, so now what do I want to do with this experience? And so I thought, well, it's a part of it is a recalling of, because what I experienced was, I would say, a sense of deep appreciation and wonder at what I experienced as happening in the group energy. So my words were recalling, then being. What did I experience? The being, I wanted to retain that, but not just retain it. I wanted to open for more. So I'm going to have to leave. I'm going to be listening, but I've got to leave for now. I have to drive somewhere. Thank you so much, everybody.
Have a pleasant
Well,
day, Alison.
while you're driving, can you just remind me of the question, and I'll try to. I'll see what's coming.
Okay, so which question are you wanting to remember?
Just the original one, like from this that you wanted to ask me about the course or whatever.
It was just I was just interested in what your experience was yesterday when Jesse pointed. For what I heard was he was pointing to how you could have opened your structure around the course and the 2,000 pounds that you needed for the course, that if you had focused just on wanting to do the course, no matter how that could happen, you wouldn't have had to think about the 2,000 pounds that you needed.
Yeah, well, yeah. So yeah, I was focused on getting in, and I wasn't too. Well, yeah, I was just open to the how presenting itself, which it did, and that was just my
Okay.
plan, like
Okay.
of doing it. Like, all right, well, cool. It's 2K to get in. What am I gonna do? But then, like, other avenues led, that presented themselves that meant I could get in without paying the £2,000. So I still got the same end result. It's just that was like the idea of what I could do, but I wasn't set to that. And then
Okay, good.
other things came that presented it in a way in which I got in there without putting any money down, you
Okay,
know?
great. Okay.
So like I've got the end result, and that it's in line with the Revolution, and that's
Yeah.
like an open structure which is going to open and expand into so much more. But that was like I required that
Okay.
that focus, like, and the way in which it presented itself throughout the weeks before. It was like it was, I was tuned into it, I was seeing it, and so yeah. So like
And
that was just the most obvious thing. Obviously, I was like, I was, and then, but the point is, manifested it to the point where, yeah, I got the same outcome I wanted, do you know? And it wasn't necessarily, it just unraveled, divinely, abundantly, alignedly. Um, yeah. But then the thing is like, we can say we're next level manifestors and that, yeah. But it's like money is a big thing in which people can tend to have blocks around manifesting. And so like I do want to be able to do that. And like the 3 steps that I was practicing and implementing was from like the training I've got. And the 3 steps are to know exactly how much money you want. Yeah. The specific money down to the penny. Yeah. Ideally. Because this is like your genie, you're giving your command to the genie. So it's like you're saying what you want, right? But it's like he needs to know what you want it. So the 3 steps are exactly how much you want, exactly what you're gonna do with it, and then the feeling you get when you receive it. So I required X amount of money. I knew exactly what I was gonna do with it. I was gonna do this, and this with it, and then going into the feeling, and then the more you're going into that feeling, the feeling is the secret. Um, you know, um, the magic manifested. But it was consciously directed, more intentional than I've ever done it before. I've done that naturally before, but not necessarily. And then the speed in which it's received is also determined by like the intensity of the transmission, how often you're transmitting that frequency vibration from the most powerful transmitter of frequencies in the entire world, which is our brain, our mind, yeah, or us, right? That's our gene. And then any resistance, so any doubt that comes up when you think about that, that is slowing it down. So, for example, when I thought about it and was like, "Oh my days, how am I going to get the money?" Do you know what I mean? I was like, "Oh god, that's the doubt coming in." I just switch it to value abundantly aligned, to value abundantly aligned. It's cool. I don't even need to know how it's coming. I just know it's coming, man. It's coming because that's the best feeling. The best feeling is the feeling you've already got it, but also not caring that you don't have it yet. So these are all the things. You know what I mean, I'll be like doing like and. But yeah, point is, if yeah, he's working, man. Um, but like, I have recently had and created a chief aim specifically around money, because it is something like that is actually required ideally. Um, um, so yeah, because I never really had a chief aim, because you want to know your chief aim like your own name, and it's like he's having a chief aim and it's sticking to it long enough, without changing, rearranging or whatever, or completely diverting to some other direction. Yeah, I've lost myself now. But yeah, so it's powerful stuff, man. It's big stuff. But yeah, that's it. So my chief aim, and that's it. So it was going to my heart space, being my heart space, but like I do like require to like I think we should. I mean, money is like we should naturally all be abundant. Like, shouldn't have to be living like, and it's my own. It's been my own beliefs around money, you know, and she's shifting all that, changing that. Um. So yeah, like, but I do. I wanna be able to like provide and support. More and like give back to those that have like supported me, and so. So yeah, but like this course is it's it's part of the path to like, because he's brought me all back now, and it's all coming back around to Love Lucian. Do you know what I mean? That is the most obvious, unique thing that I can be bringing and doing. Do you know, like, and that's really what I came to do. You know, so creating and doing things around that, bringing more love into the world, more happiness, more joy, more bliss, less resistance, more flow, flipping, letting people realize how powerful they are. Like that's like the role. But like being in this course and being able to learn from the best that have done it, been through it, like it just I'm so blessed to be surrounded by like just yeah, which is just it's just madness, man. Like the support and like what I've manifested, like the situation, the position I'm in, and it's all coming together now. Because I've been applying it. I've not just been in learning. I've been doing it, bringing it, applying it. With my thoughts, with my mind, and yeah, it's pretty magical. Anyway, I'm going to put a full stop on that. That's my response to what Alison said. I love you.
Um, Thanks, Joe.
Thanks for hanging on.
Kailash,
Curiosity. What role were you fulfilling? Just in that moment, like
Which
in
moment?
this ramble that there was this Joe's speaking, it was, what identity would you say that was from? Like what role? What personality?
Um, well, it kind of feels like quite a grounded one.
Good. Wonderful. It's like, yes. Like, so there's your grounded, right? That's a way of being. It's grounded. It's like, wonderful. It's like, did you like that? Grounded? It's like you gave it words, you named it grounded. And so when we name it grounded, it begins to mm, like create more habits around it.
Mm. Mm.
The more you put your attention to it, just like you put your attention to your big aim, Lovolution, like you've named things, right? To portray, to slingshot the emotion of them, which helps with the action. Right? The emotions are only for the action. I mean, so it's like you probably would want more grounding in your life. Because it sounded like a strong structure. And that can improve, will improve, it will always change. It's just like it's got momentum. And my role in that was to, we do it doesn't mean we're aware of it. And so it's like we talked about identity. It's like identity. Identity is like, what do I identify with? It's like, so what am I attached to? Which are triggers, right? They're triggers. Ooh. The triggers means they change, like our awareness becomes aware of something. Ooh. Those happen so quick, so fast, so automatic. But when we name it, it slows it down. It's like it slows it down so that there's a choice. So different perspectives, like when we slow down, then we can give it different perspectives, which is like if we have an automatic, if we just do the opposite automatic, then we won't do that automatic anymore. That's one, like to look at our automatics. Yeah. Another is what role are we identifying with? The role, because we can say, oh, look, there's my defender, there's my protector, there's my controller. Like all these different situations require a different role. And that role requires a way of being to be able to live into that role. It's an emotion, a being. And then it takes thoughts and actions to provide the feedback to say, all right, where do we need to adjust? And that's over trillions of cells, like trillions of moments, as what we call life. Good morning, Kailash. Eyelash. My apologies.
Good morning. No worries. I have many versions of my name that are all okay. They each slingshot something slightly different.
Morning and welcome, Kailash.
Hiya.
Hello. Have I missed any words of the day? I imagine I have. Do you guys mind recapping for me, maybe?
My expanding structures is mine.
Expanding structures. Makes me think of like the idea of a mind palace. If you have a house in your home that's just magically growing and cool. Mine is no.
No.
Yeah. No.
Mhm.
A little bit less abstract or more, depending on your
Mhm.
perspective.
Knock knock.
Who's there? Damn kids.
Mm. No. Kailash, what are you expanding in the no?
My boundaries. My care for myself.
Boundaries can be found in the yes as well. Yeah.
That's true.
Cool.
But I practiced saying yes. I still do. I like that way of living, but I think that exploring the feeling that I associated with yes coming from no is my current kind of project. Yeah. There's a yes behind the no, I'm saying yes to myself by saying no outwardly. So I guess my word of the day, if I'm talking about what's going on internally, is yes, but specifically at the moment, how it's tied to an external no, where before I would make rejections of what's going on internally in favor of an external yes.
Mm. Yeah, it's a it, mm, neither is right.
Mhm.
Yeah, and both are. So, mm, what is hmm. So, how do we use the word and? What's the structure of and in our language?
I was going to say duality, but it can come at the end of a train of things as well. So, superposition, which is nice because it has super in it, which kind of speaks to the power of the complexity, nuance of experience.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, the structure of the and is bringing two things together. And we orient to the and as like we're looking at the similarities of them, like they're bridged. The and is the bridge between the two things because it's thing one and thing two. Something one and something two. Now, doesn't that give us an orientation? Doesn't matter what the somethings are. For listening, it gives an orientation. Like, oh, when someone uses and, it's like they are looking at them together. And so if we don't use and, what other word would we use? To look at two things.
Plus, also, as well, I like that you said it suggests an orientation because when we were talking about the yes versus no versus being kind of opposite to and, I was thinking about the rotation.
I'm sorry. What was opposite of and?
Versus.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, I was thinking about the rotation that happened in my mind with that comparison.
Yeah. What say those words again?
I was thinking of the rotation that was happening in my mind with the comparison.
My too. A whole. It's a whole. It's a circle. It includes everything. And includes everything. It allows for everything. It is automatic. It's automatic momentum is allowing. Versus, and then you use the word versus, right? Versus what rather than saying versus, what is our I think it's a preposition. Like, what is the preposition that we use?
You mean or?
Yeah. Or. Something one or something two. You see how I'm limiting just with my word? My one simple 3-letter word, a 2-letter word, and then you can imagine what the third word will be if you're following my line. What does the feeling of or? The charge. How about the charge of or? Versus the and. And that's what the difference there is, what I would call between is expanding or contracting. And is expansive.
Mm-hmm.
Like we feel it. It's like it's open, it's inviting, it's allowing. Or is a little bit more pressure. It's like, or I can only choose one. I got to choose the right one, right? Do you see how we automatically put pressure on ourselves?
Yeah. And restrictive as well, right?
Yeah, it's not as expansive, right? Yes, it's getting tighter, denser, heavier, all sorts of words, darker. We could put all sorts of words negative to it. And then, like, we're going in that direction, right? We went from a very high, expansive word to a choice, yeah, in a way. But isn't an and a choice too? Yeah. So it's not just saying that or just is the choice, but the other one is too. And so, what would be the last word to close this?
But
Showing me your butt. What does, when you show me your butt, what is that showing me?
that it isn't one or the other.
It's mine. Yeah. That's what the but, right after the but says. And but says, you can have yours, but mine is right. And we think about it, it's like, my goodness, we use those 3 words around a lot of different things, a lot of different stories. That's why the something doesn't matter. It's those transitions that do. Exactly, Will. The but is invalidating the other person. That's what it does. It's an automatic, you're wrong, I'm right. That's the feel of it compared to an and. So people using just those words gives you an idea how they're looking at those 2 somethings. And whatever, why they chose those 2 somethings to compare, who knows? Use it. Because what's happening is we're getting the and is where you want people to get to, like the feeling of the and, while they're stuck in the but. So the but, you open it up so that can they see an or in their but? right? Yeah, they're right, right? They can be right too. Right? We allow that. And it's like, yes. And so we can say, and I understand it from your perspective too, because it's both of them. And this goes back to what we fixate on, right? What do we fixate on? That's part of our identity. It reveals our triggers, like our roles. Triggers trigger roles, yet our language reveals the orientation. Only in the moment of now. It's never, and the more we work with people, we can see tendencies. Usually easier than the person themselves, which then leads to working together is so important. So the and or but structure. What do you got for me, Will?
Not a whole lot. This was and or but structure. I like that.
Not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot.
That's your automatic. That's your automatic.
Oh, okay. Time for some coaching.
No, not at all.
Okay.
You're enough as you are. I hope you find it.
Yeah.
I always thought Will's automatic that it was laughing.
Yeah.
Well, what is the laugh telling you, Heinz?
Yeah.
Well, that he's not really that sure about it, but it's funny to say it. It's more a suggestion than a definition.
Yep.
That was brilliant, Jesse.
Oh
thoughts
man,
just came to
gee,
my mind.
thanks. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah. Stroke the ego.
My prover. You guys know I don't know how many times I have to tell you about my prover. I mean, that's exactly what it. That's what it did. What it did was to just get that. So thank you, Chi. You're my favorite.
Stroke the ego. Yeah.
I was just thinking, is our feeling isn't it our pulse, But by checking into the pulse, into the feeling, we can find where the disease is. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, you are not, Chi. That is exactly. That's whatever works for you, and share it just like that. And don't question it, because you're putting more awareness on it. That's all we're wanting is more awareness. Who knows what comes from that awareness? Like
Right.
that's what we're attached to, making sure that it comes out a certain way. It's like, why? It doesn't work that way. The closest thing to real is the feeling. Which is all we want, which is why we go for what we get to have the feeling, but that's the empty, because we can choose the feeling anytime. We don't need something out there. But a child that saw the world differently, yeah, would always rely on someone else. That is what a child had to do in our structures. We just don't have to hold on to it. Right? And she, as you said, right? Our society doesn't have us talk about our emotions.
No.
We don't know how to let them go. So we bag them up and we stuff them away. And it's an unresolvable, it doesn't work.
Yes, you're right. Yes.
Yep.
We're going to keep trying though, right? It's like hell bent to make it work. It's an unresolvable structure. It will never work.
You can only find a result by connecting different parts of us.
Yeah.
The subconscious and then the conscious and the feelings and the thoughts and yeah. Yeah,
So,
it feels good to be here. Wow.
So let's do a wonderful exercise here. So the three words, and, or, but. So just feel them when you say them. How about somebody just volunteer to do three of them, like, and feel them for the essence that they are, just in the moment.
I could do it.
Thank you, Will.
Yeah, and feels very expansive.
Good.
And full of possibility. And then
Good.
Or
just a second. Let's stay there for a second.
Okay.
What's the charge of and?
And it's like just joy, like possibility, like freedom.
So those are the emotions of it, yeah. Which part of charge, yeah. What charge would you give and?
Don't understand the question.
Positive, negative,
or
positive.
Neutral. Yeah. Okay, positive.
Thank you.
For sure.
Thank you. So it's expanding and it's positive.
Yeah.
Expanding and positive. Good. And then it has a feeling, like there's what weight does it give the feeling?
It's very light.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Very light and bright.
Light and bright. Wonderful. It's like, great. Yeah. Wow, there's a lot of information in and.
Yeah.
That's already in
so
there.
Much.
It's already baked into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's baked into everyone's societies, everyone's culture.
Yeah.
This is the shortcut. All right. Now go to the next one. Or anyone else have anything to say? Sorry. Anyone observing anything about themselves in the and? Because if you engage like Will's Will's not getting out of this as much as I am. But he's getting more out of it than the rest of you. Sorry, we are getting more out of it than the rest of them. And their ability is to say it out loud for themselves. That's the most important. And then number two is or you could go into your head and imagine yourself saying it. So that's the hierarchy of how this works, how we learn.
Engage. When you engage, you learn more.
Yep. And the reason that we don't engage is the resistance, which is all about the choice that we have and which one we're listening to on our tendencies as in our automatics. So thank you, Will.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes, and next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I agree with William. The and is an opening,
Yeah.
and the but is an ending.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the butt's definitely like a negative
Oh,
charge.
it's like almost all words that start with an A. It's an opening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's possibilities.
That's right. So the next thing is like, oh, now we can begin to see what words start with letters because they cluster together. You know, words cluster together in the feeling, right? In the expansion, right? In the charges, like they all cluster together there.
Yeah.
And there's the opposite. So then the shortcut is to look at the opposite because that gives you the whole picture. And once you see the whole picture, then you want to come into neutral. Boom, neutral.
Yeah, which is or.
Yeah, there you go. It's right between the two, right? There's nothing else in between the two.
Yeah, and or.
Yep.
But.
Yep, there you go.
Positive, neutral, negative.
Bingo.
Cool.
Everything after those words tell you so much about people's orientations.
Wow.
I'm beginning to get it. Thank you. You said so many times that yes, now
No.
finally.
Thanks, Chi. I was just thinking that. It's like, is this the first time I've talked about this?
No, you talked about this a lot, but it's good to have these reminders.
So important. Yeah.
Right, different views, right? We come at different views, different roles, different times. And it's not like we can peel back. It's not like we can take back any more awareness than what we can be aware of. We think we can peel back all the layers. We can. We just need enough time to do it.
Wow. I just love how you're conducting.
Thanks, Chi.
Yeah.
Good. Do we need to finish off or and but?
Or is it the letter O? You know, it's like over. It's like off. It's like.
You know, or's interesting. Or there's still some space, but you know, or's like I don't know which way it's going to go, right? So it's like I'll sit in those, right? I'll sit in those, but really the ands are like ands invite me in, so it's like yes, let's keep it going, right? But the buts are like okay, well, there's some real resistance into this but. And so it's like the butts. It's like, ooh, like dancing with the butts. What do we do with the butts? I've had to remove them from my language, but I still use them also. So using them with intention is different than discarding them. I'm not saying discard them. I'm just saying be aware of them.
Yeah. Be aware of your word choice.
And use it. Use the momentum in your favor.
And being aware of how it affects others too, right? Like if we're saying but, we're invalidating someone else, right? And we're saying we're right and they're wrong.
That is like I can't think of anything else that like the but is saying.
Yeah, I really don't like that word much anymore.
Hey guys, good morning.
Hey, Centrell.
Morning,
Centrell.
Good morning, fellas. That butt, that butt is like it keeps you in indecision. So you're weighing everything like all at one time and never coming to a conclusion. What's on one side of the butt and the other side of the butt? It's like, yeah, but I should leave at 5, but it's like, to me, it charges me as indecision. So I love that you're talking about this because it lets me know when I'm defaulting to an indecisiveness versus making a clear decision. And we're going to the opposite. I love this now with the opposite. It's taken me a while to find the layers of what this kind of conversation offers. But when you say what's the opposite, you go all the way and it quickly unravels all of that garbage without having to take the time to process all of that. So no, let's just be decisive. Let's go to the opposite and know the difference and shake everything off that doesn't really apply. Now you can make a decision. For me, that's what I'm playing with right here, that I can be more decisive.
It opens the could. It opens the could. And then the coulds, when we see the coulds, then it's like, okay, now we ask, what could I want? And then reframe that, just focus in slowly, or it might pop right there. It's like, what do I want? And it's like Chi said all day today, it's like in the feeling of it is where we can find the words.
Wow. Even that word could, it's like, what do you want?
Right.
It's one thing. Usually for me, what do you want falls again to a default of the things I know that I think I can have, versus what could I want. It yields to the heart, the impossible, what was labeled impossible, or I'm not worthy stuff. How can I want stuff I'm not worthy of? Well, when you say could, it's like it doesn't filter it through me even being worthy. So now you can want it, you could want it, and then you can resonate into pulling yourself forward into what you really do want, negating any reason why you can't have it.
The but is like in conclusion, huh? And the conclusion varies, from viewpoint to viewpoint.
Yeah. I think it opens up for you to even be excited about wanting it, be excited about it, but not to the point where it's out in front of you, but you integrate with it and you resonate a higher energy of what is really you.
Oh, I love it. I love this exercise. Wow.
It shakes off a lot of intangibles that are embedded or carried around. I call it gremlins, just like hanging on you, that are invisible, and they're impacting feelings, decisions, modes of operation, and thought. And this kind of conversation just exposes it. It's like you got some lint on your shoulder, and you can just, like, you don't have to discuss it. You don't have to have a conversation with it. You don't have to negotiate with it. In the Bible, it says, don't try to reason with fools. If that piece of lint is a fool, you just like, oh, it's on you. Knock it off. Don't even spend any time with it. Realize for the insignificance that it is based on what you choose to be. Man, y'all messing with my stuff this morning. Give me some more. Give me some more.
Oh, that was amazing, Sindrell. Thank you. And so here's the next one would be, what is Anne's closest cousin?
Mm. The first thing that comes to me is, of course.
Mm-hmm. And a 3-letter word would be,
Yes.
there you go. How about no?
But
Yep.
I don't, yeah, I was like, yeah, once, second cousin once removed.
Yeah, it might not be directly, right? It's like, see, it's all different for everyone, but it's like there's some commonality in it, in the awareness that we're not, it's like not known. Like it's like we just skip over it, right? The and or buts of people, ours, theirs, and it carries so much meaning when we really listen.
Mm.
it's
And when we really listen and we know how to like question it, not question it as in you don't know what you're thinking, but question it with curiosity. It really helps the person see what are they really thinking in your curiosity to ask questions.
Bingo. And so it's momentum.
Mm. How is it momentum?
Um, uh, it sucks it in, like brings people in for yes and more. So that is momentum compared to the no's momentum. No has momentum as well, which is none.
Hold it back.
Yeah, you got to start all over again, right?
The end is what bridges the gap. Huh? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And or, like and or, those two are fine because you can take an or to an and but you have to take a but to an or at least they have to go through it, right?
Mm.
There's a fight in the butt. And
that's why you get a spanking.
Well, we call it the hot seat here on Fireside. Yeah. Like in the fire. And so what word in terms of momentum or would you associate with and? Like momentum, what word would you give in momentum's perspective to and?
Yes. Yes, and.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And how about a momentum or a flow is the word I'm looking for. It's like a flowing. See the different categories? These categories are just different perspectives, right? Space, time. It's like how we're reading our energy. That's what we're doing.
So the closest cousin to and is it with also? Or?
Yeah, that's a good one too.
with
Yep.
together.
Yep. Yep. It's not separate.
With.
Not separated.
Yo, guys, I'm gonna rumble. I love you. All right.
Thanks,
Thank you. Thank
Love
you,
you,
Joe.
Mr. Lovely.
Have a hug.
Happy
Thank
Thanksgiving
you.
if you're celebrating, observing it.
Oh,
A great
oh,
day,
if there's
Joe.
a reason, I'll always celebrate. If there's a reason to celebrate, big love.
Big
Joe.
love.
Love, Joe.
So this all is making me thinking of like when you go to seminars and marketing events and when you present them as well, you really help people collapse the critical thinking area and get to the heart of the matter. That's the heart of the matter for them. But if they're not like aware of it and conditioned to what they already knowing more of what they want in their direction, because sometimes when people go to things and then they come home, they go back to the same environment that stimulated their previous condition of thinking. They, they don't have, if they're not aware of those, of what help get them into their decision pattern, then that's, I think, where buyer's remorse has the opportunity to come in. And because they're not in an environment or an awareness of knowledge to hold the vision that got revealed to them while they were in another environment.
Yep. It's people are not pointing out structure enough for people to see their own. And
so they could be responsible for it.
That's right. And there's all sorts of ways to get there. People just don't know they're in their own way. It doesn't even exist for them to think like what they're doing is wrong because they look at it, it's the rest of the world that's effed up. It's their fault. They fix it. And you can see how that's an unresolvable.
So I see the value of like immersing yourself in an environment that you want to learn from, because it helps to condition you, right? And helps you keep up a certain level of condition until you need, want, or decide to elevate to another sphere of it. It's like, what type of environment do I want my mind to be cultivated by, and choosing that environment, not just surrendering to it. I was participating in a group called a community, so to speak. And I was in it for the purpose of the title that it was, but the energy of it was not, it came to be so incongruent with my spirit, that I had to find another environment in which to get what I wanted. Like the intentions, the spoken intentions and the felt intentions were opposite for me. So I've had to, I had to make a decision. I totally disengaged. I wanted what they were selling, but I didn't want what they was giving.
And that is creating new customers. Right? Everyone's marketing something, saying it's something, but when you get there, it's really not, because you can see they're not aware to the level you are, to the standard that you are. Oh. Now, not in all categories, just happens to be in that one, right?
Yeah, just that one, in awareness.
Yep.
In awareness.
And you had something to compare it to.
Yeah.
Because we have to, like, we always have to have something to compare it to. Otherwise, it's just floating out there.
Yeah, and
Which-
I was floating for a while because I didn't know what to compare it to. I was like, well, what is this? I don't even know what this is to compare it to what.
Mhm.
But it did establish a benchmark for me because then once I had the experience, I used that as a comparison.
Exactly. Bingo. And it's yours. It doesn't have to be anybody else's.
Yep, all mine.
And with that, you can allow others to have theirs.
Mhm. Here's my
Well, all, what a great morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day. Yeah, we'll see
Thank you
you.
so much, Steffi. Yeah,
Thank you. Thanks,
It's very-
Gene.
Thank you, Hein.
Yeah, till next time.
Bye bye.
Hugs.
Have a wonderful day.